Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. My opponent's gone first, I'm not sure of that word. Great, that goes. Now, my rack is poor. Is it poor enough to change? I think it is. I can't do very much about the two V's and a W. I'll keep the L. Sorry, I'll keep the E. And that's all. Not a good pickup at all. I now have 3 E's and 2 pairs of duplicates. This is slightly more flexible than last time. I could play beat, BWT or BETE, leaving BET. Ebet is also good. And that might score more. Core takes an E after it. So I could do this. Actually, I'm inclined to play up here in order to open up the top and bottom of the board. I don't want the board to be tight. If I have a bingo, I'd like to be able to play it. edubee12. That looks quite good. Is there a 7 here? I think there is, but I haven't seen it yet. $36 points for my opponent, a double-double for him. Now, do I have a bingo? And there are a few floaters to consider. There's the R of core. So Storeman, that doesn't work. Monsterer, Tone Arms and On Stream, none of those work. What about Mantos? I think that is the 7. And I can make Mantos and Ebets. I think this is going to score about the same as a play through the P of Painter. So I think I will simply go with this. That's not bad. I don't think there's a 7 here. And it's slightly vowel heavy and I've no scoring tiles, but I should be able to play through this. I'm just looking at the floating consonants on the board in case I have an 8-letter word. But I can't see anything through the M of Mantos. Or the B of Ebets. Now I'm wondering if I can play in column 8 down from the O of Mantos, reaching the triple word square at 08. Can't see a way of doing that. Now I want to play off the U and an A and possibly another vowel. So if I could play AUA, I would leave myself with DEIR, which is quite good. And I can do that here. I can also do this 2 squares to the left, but I think this is a better spot. 14 points, that's not good. What about AUA and APE in row D? 11 points. And as an alternative to this, I could play Aura instead of Aura. 2 to the left for 18 points. So do I burn the R for 4 points? I think I'd rather keep the R. I think this is quite a synergetic 4-letter set. Great, I draw the first blank. Do I have a bingo? I have Divider and Tad in row L. Do I have anything with the blank as an S which might play in column 12, making painters? Well, nothing that I have seen so far. So at the moment, row L is the only bingo I've spotted. Let me run through the alphabet and see if I can see any more bingos. This would be viricide or virucide through an I or a U. That's divider. Verified through an E. That looks promising. Okay, great. My divider spot remains available. Row C is a new bingo lane. I'm going to finish running through the alphabet. Virgin through a G. Not sure about privied. Still can't see one with the S. Okay, and possibly viridize in column 14. So, do I play divider and tad? And what about ivoried? Ivoried plays in that spot for more points. I have a slight doubt about this. This would be a bad time to phony when I've got a guaranteed bingo. Ivoried 81. That's pretty grim. If this comes off, I'll be spared dealing with this horror show. But if it stays on, I have a good lead. And I've got the Z. And there are vowels in uoi and ivoried. Now, what I didn't do with my ivoried rack was consider row C properly. But it's too late for that now. So, how can I play off a lot of these high-scoring tiles? Vizier would play off the V and the Z. I could do that in column 11. Although that would be opening up row O. This rack is so far from a bingo that it's not a priority to play off the Z. Great, my opponent has pluralized uoi. He can't do that. That comes off. Now that makes me hesitant to play Vizier because he may have a 9-timer in row O. So, what to do? Well, I'm looking at the O and I of uoi to play through. I could play frizz. Or I could play whiz down here. That doesn't give much away. And scores 30 points. And I think I'm going to struggle to play off more of my high-scoring tiles than just the 2. Am I overlooking a really good spot for the Z? No, I don't think I am. Not good, but at least I held on to my I. So I don't have all consonants. I suspect my opponent does have a bingo through the O or the I. Shoaling, pretty sure that's good. I will challenge it. It's fine. And my opponent has not provided any good vowels for me. So, what can I do with this rack? Well, having played Ebert to try and keep the board open, the board now feels quite tight. I don't feel there's a huge load of opportunities here. I'm looking to see if I've got anything down from the V of ivory onto the triple word square, just a 4-letter word. I can't see one. Through TI, I would have victim. I have Merv on my rack, which I think is good, MIRV. Maybe I should change. Well, I don't think the rack is quite bad enough for that. I'm thinking about playing Vim across here. 15 points, but it's keeping 4 consonants, and I'd much rather keep just 3. I've got 12 minutes left. There are 38 tiles in the bag. My F could go in front of ER, but then I wouldn't be getting much of a score. I've got firm as a 4-letter play. Just can't see anywhere good for it to play. Double A doesn't take anything after it that I have on my rack, nor does TAI. Gosh, what a tricky rack to deal with. Well, I don't often do this. But I will change. I draw the Q. I've got an I to go with it. I can play G and SI in column 14, but that is placing the Q right next to the triple word square. So if my opponent has an I, he's got an easy 30 points. I can also play Chi in column 12 with the I of Shoaling. That's a lot safer. No U's on this board available. There are 2 U's unseen. My Chi spots remain available. I could play cat down here, but I think this is going to score more. Not a great rack leave. I'm vulnerable to drawing 2 consonants, and it's only 25 points. But I think I do have to play off the Q. It's just going to hamper me if I keep it. So 25 points. I could play Chi here, and this is... I am still ahead, so this is taking out this useful S floater for only a drop of only 2 points. I do draw 2 consonants. This is a struggle, this game. Very few vowels on the board. quite a few unseen. I'm looking at column 8 at the top as an opportunity really for future reference to play a 6-letter word ending NE. Now 29 points for my opponent, that's a good score for him. Double A takes an L, so I can do call across here, which I think takes an S in front. My opponent may not know that. 15 points, that is truly awful. Well, I can get more than that surely up here, and without risking that front S hook. £25 points, that's a lot better. Another horror show of a rack. And again, only one vowel, but this board is quite tight, so my opponent is unlikely to bingo. Now, I'm looking at the rack, looking at the board, and just nothing is coming to mind. I do have a 30-point lead, which is handy, but it's quite vulnerable. £19 points for my opponent. And no opportunities for me. I'm looking in row B to see if I've got anything across here through IS, and I can't see anything. Cow takes an S in front of it for future reference. Gosh, this is tricky. Only 8 minutes left. I'm really reluctant to change again, so I won't. Now I'm wondering about FU-double-R. I think it's good. And if it is, this is quite a nice play. It sorts the rack out, it takes out this column 3 bingo lane. This isn't particularly dangerous. No vowels at all. I draw the X. My lead is 31 points. Now I do have NTH on my rack, which is a vowelless play, which may enable me to keep playing without changing. I could play that in row I, making HM as well. And I could play it here. Wow, this is going to score quite well. It is risky. The remaining tiles are bingo-y. My opponent is 1 point in front. The remaining tiles are quite bingo-y, but I don't think off takes anything after it, so my opponent can't make a bingo ending in S or ING. It would have to be a bingo ending in E, and there are probably only a small subset of the available bingos which end in E. I think I will take this chance because this is a good score. Just pausing in case there's somewhere better. And what about row B? Do I have anything across here? Don't think so. Well, if my opponent doesn't play in row O, I am able to. I could play type. Great, only 21 points for my opponent. My lead is now just 11 points, so I'm hanging on by the skin of my teeth. I've got 6 minutes left. The remaining tiles look a lot less bingo-y now. I've got Pyrex on my rack. Can't see anywhere to play that. Do I have anything through IS? Can't see anything. So I'm 11 points ahead. I could play Vex down here. How risky is this? Well, it's not massively risky. The best my opponent can do is probably play Move. He can't play in row O because there are no two-letter V words. So he could play Move down here. 36 points, which would be annoying. But I'm getting 35 for Vex. And I am inclined to play off the X. Well, really just to keep scoring. No vowels, but I do have the Y. I'm looking in row O to see if I've got anything through L and then NE. Can't see anything. So do I have anything? Well, I've got an S now for making scow, so column 3 is available. 30 points for my opponent. Yeah. 3 tiles in the bag. So I could do with playing off just the 2. Can I play off 2 tiles? I'm looking at Axe to see if I can play beginning with the D of Devo. Can't see a way of doing that. I've got 5 minutes left. I'm 16 points ahead, so I would like to keep scoring. I don't think Cali is good. I'm looking around for anywhere great for my Y. Now, do I have a 6-letter play beginning with an S? Don't think so. 4 minutes left. Furry doesn't work. BY is good. But then I don't have a something ERY play. I could play NY across here. Only 15 points. I could play dry. 14 points. Well, that has some appeal. Dry takes an S. My opponent may not know that. And I'm blocking an easy 6-letter lane. Don't like that. What about placing my Y here? Do I have something YT? Can't see anything. What about ply? I'm going to go with this 16 points. I think it's the best score I've seen so far, and I am keeping this lane free for my S. Brutal. No vowels. Okay. Well, I do have a 32-point lead, but I'm probably not going to see any vowels now. I could play grist across here for 20 points. I don't have a 6-letter play in row O. That grist lane looks pretty useful to me. I hope my opponent doesn't block it. He may be struggling with a lot of vowels. Now, do I have anything apart from grist? Great. Grist stays available. My opponent plays OE, making Joe and Faye. I can see what he's got left. He's got 6 tiles. I don't think he can go out in one. He's 15 points behind. Now, if I play grist... do I have anywhere to go out next time? I've got 2 minutes left, and I could play grists to stop my opponent playing OS down here. Okay, now what about a play in column 3? What do I have which goes at the end of JA? G. So, I can play... drugs. For 23, that would take me to 390, a 38-point lead. Can't see a way of playing out. But I could play tax next go. I think that this is a sort of rack where there may be a guaranteed out in 2. But it's very difficult to spot under time pressure. I could play trugs rather than drugs. DNT might be a bit better than TNT. And do I want to keep the S back? 1 minute left. Well, I'm reluctantly going to play this. My opponent would have Ormo lose through an R. I could play Jot and I can play Tax, so I've got a couple of spots for scoring 10 points. 26 points for my opponent. He's only 12 points behind. He may catch me, and that's going to be pretty annoying. So I can play. I've only got 40 seconds left. I don't want to run out on time. I've got 10 here. Do I have anything more? TNT. No, I'm going to take that. 23 points. N and T. Great, that's a phony. Challenge that off. I've only got 16 seconds left. I need to find somewhere to play an N or a T. 3 for oh no. I wasn't expecting to have a second shot. It still might not be enough if my opponent can find a big enough score for solo. Now if he doesn't, I've got TIS up here. Have I got a second spot for my T? I don't want to be stuck with it. I don't need to worry about that. Pass to end the game. And the final score, 392 to my opponent, 403 to me, a winning margin of 11 points. So a really close end game. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go first. He phonied, yes, he did. He played Trink and that came off. This was my rack. And, well, there's just nothing good here when taking into account the score and rack leave, so I think changing was best. So this was my opponent's rack. He now played Core. And I had Ebet. That looks fine. This is my opponent's rack. Let's see if he had a bingo. He did. He had anti-pawn, playable at 8C through the O of Core. This was my rack. I had Mantos. Wow, and that was the only bingo. And it did play in row D, running across the top of Painter, but that would open up column 1. So instead I played it for 7 fewer points, but putting a vowel next to this double word square, so possibly Manto's across here was better. This is my opponent's rack. He plays ein. And now I had a vowel heavy rack, so I did have some vowels in this game. And I played AUA for 14, I2, Euredia across here. Yeah, that's pretty nice. That would certainly have been a better play. My opponent's rack, he plays Uoi. Well, this is where all the vowels went. Me and my opponent playing off 7 vowels and no consonants in 2 moves. Now, this is my rack. Ivory was good and was best, and there were a whole bunch of other bingos. My opponent's rack, and this is where he phonied. He played lashing and Uois. And he had a ton of alternate bingos, or genuine bingos. This was my rack. M11 frizz. M11. Well, yes and no. 45 points, but frizz takes an E at the end. So my opponent used the blank as an N. So would he have a bingo with the blank as an E? Possibly not, in which case frizz may well have been the play. What did I do? Oh, I played whiz for 30. That wasn't too far behind, and I'm retaining a vowel. Yeah, I think frizz really depends on what my opponent, whether my opponent has got a bingo with an E in it. This was my opponent's rack. And I can't see any bingos there with the blank as an E. And he played Sholing. This was my rack. And I think this is where I changed, but again, look at the score and rack leave, and it's not good. My opponent's rack, he played cow. I had the Q, and well, I was thinking about playing here, but didn't want to place the Q next to the triple word square, so I played it 2 squares to the left for a fewer points. And my opponent did have eyes. He played Fez, and then this is where I began a run of really horrible racks. Gosh, with 30 tiles in the bag. And I had an 8-point lead. So, this is how things went. I played Call. I could have played Carl, which would have been slightly better, in the same spot for the same score. My opponent's rack, he plays again. And if I'd played Carl, I would have had 1 fewer R and an L. Not a great rack. Now, did I change here? No, I didn't. I played Fur for 17, keeping NRV, and that's certainly better than changing. And Fur was actually very close to the highest scoring move, and certainly getting 2 more points and retaining 3 Rs is a worse move. So I'm happy with Fur. My opponent's rack plays Jar. I have no vowels. And played Unth at N8, and I still like that. And my opponent has all the vowels. But that stopped him from scoring well in row O, only 21 points for him. I do have an E and a Y, so this rack isn't that bad. Xylene, A8. Oh wow, there was a play through the LNE. Having made a point of looking out for such a play, I overlooked this one, and that would have been good. Nice score, nice rack leave. And picks at N1. Okay, I didn't see that. I played Vex, which burnt the E, so certainly picks, I think, would have been a better play. But if I played picks, then my opponent can play in row O, whereas placing the V here forces him to play in column 1. So that would be a plus point for Vex. But I think Xylene, clearly the better option there. My opponent's rack, he played Devo. And although I've got all consonants, the Y is pretty useful. Prissy for 34, that would have been good. 3 tiles in the bag. And at this point, I've got a 16-point lead. I don't recognise my play down here. What did I do? I played ply for 16 points. Okay, not too far behind most of these, but Prissy certainly a good scoring play. And my opponent's not in much of a position to utilise the O front hook for a P because he's only got 1 point tiles. He could play something like Olio for, I don't know, 15 points or something. He plays O, and then this is my rack. I've got a 15-point lead. I played drugs for 23, grist for 21 or 22 were also options I considered. But none of these suggestions here have rack leaves which enable an out in 2, in which case drugs looks pretty good. My opponent's rack, what could he have done? At this point he was 38 points behind. Well, he had Mew for 26, which was a good play. Probably a winning play. This was my rack. I5. Tartar and Mutt. Wow, that's difficult to see. Only 10 points. What did I do? I played Jot for 10 points. So Tartar, which is the second choice, but Tartar slightly better. In fact, it's 2 points better if my opponent goes out. Now, my opponent 22 points behind. He's going to get 4 on countback. He needs 18 to draw, 19 to win. Could he have done so? No, he couldn't. He had Wolves for 13 at K11 across here. So he couldn't have won by going out. But I have NT, and I may not be able to go out in 1, in which case my opponent could perhaps have gone out in 2 and won. So he could have got 19 for furs and aways, keeping LOO. Or he could have got 16 for so, keeping LO, and then there's LO and ISO for 10. So it's possible my opponent could have won, but it would take time to establish that for sure. But if anybody does that analysis, please leave a comment under the video. This was, well, my opponent phonied, and this was my rack, and I really couldn't see very much to do at all. And what I did was Ono for 3, and I could have got 1 more point by playing on. And then my opponent, well, those options were still available, but they're even less winning than they were before. And my opponent does go out for 12 points. And that's the end of the game. So a pretty exciting game. It's possible my opponent could have won it right at the end, but very difficult to analyse in the post-game analysis tools available on this site. But I hope you enjoyed watching that video and got something out of it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.